My name is Lachlan Evans. I'm from Toronto, Ontario.
Cool. And what stood out so far in this experience for you?
It's been pretty early on. Today's actually only like 5 hours or so into the trip, but it's our group actually got sectioned off to go up the mountain to chop down some trees to build some sidings for the buildings that we have out here. And yeah, it's just like the views out here have been spectacular. I think just the overall message behind the whole entire trip has been pretty good.
Why did you participate in this?
It was our employer, so they kind of gave us the opportunity to, for us to donate money to go to put towards this cause. I think they partnered with Global Wear and everything like that, so it was kind of just a, damn, I don't know. I messed that up, sorry.
That's fine. Thanks for the
So yeah, no, our employer set up this trip for us, so a lot of us donated some money to go towards the cause out here, and we paid our flights to come out here, and then all of us are grouped together. I think there's a total of us, like a couple hundred of us out here working for us.
Okay, why did you decide to do it?
Why did I decide to do it? Honestly, it's like I just graduated school, and I'm trying to figure out a couple things to do with my life and everything like that, and Vivian just kind of gave a kind of a good path, so I'm gonna kind of give back when I have obviously I get a few months off of work every year, and I think it's kind of just a right thing to do and everything like that. I don't know. I really enjoy the kind of coming out here to South Africa and everything like that. So
Cool. What have you learned so far from this project about Global Wear and this project? Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is like the greenhouse that they're building right now, just so that they can store the seeds and everything like that, so they can farm year round a little bit easier on them. It reduces the overall cost for them to kind of have food for everybody. I think they said they're feeding over 185,000 people per year, and if we can help out a little bit with that, I think that can go a long way.
Fantastic. And tell me, in terms of your employer setting up projects like this with Global Wear,
Yeah.
just mention Global Wear in your answer as
Yeah.
well. What do you think of projects like this?
I think it's really good. Yeah, I'm not too sure how Global Wear and Vivint got together for it, but I'm glad that they did. I think all 200 of us are pretty thankful that we can be a part of an opportunity like this to help out a little bit.
Yeah, my name's Alexander Bulla. I'm from Shelburne, Vermont.
Fantastic. And tell me, so far, I know it's early days yet, what stood out for you in this experience so far?
I think first and foremost, the people, everyone involved, whether it's Vivint, everyone with the company, but more importantly, the individuals who they're going to be using this every day. They organize tremendous groups to come out here and have an opportunity to play and be a part of a community, and I think for them there's just a sense of appreciation. So that's been the biggest thing.
Yeah, so the reaction of the people, the friendliness of the people, that's what stood out the most.
Yeah, definitely friendliness and appreciation. People, both ends, us helping, and then people who are receiving this are just feeling great all around. So good vibes.
Fantastic. Why did you decide to participate in this project?
Well, I've always wanted to come out to South Africa, and when there's an opportunity to help be with Global Aware with Vivint is just a pretty cool opportunity to get hands-on in a smaller community that we can have a pretty big impact.
Fantastic. What have you learned so far about the project?
So far about the project, it takes a lot of hands to get a lot of work done, and we're dividing and conquering. We're here for a few days, but there's a lot of bodies and a lot of good teamwork going on. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. And then tell me your thoughts on your employer and Global Wear being involved in projects like this. Do you think they're a good thing? Do you think there should be more of it? Just elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, I think speaking with Vivint and bigger employers, working with partners like Global Aware, to give an opportunity to come across the world and have a life-changing experience, I think is like one of the sweetest things you can offer as an employer. So there's so many people that are reaping benefits, from this project. And I think just, speaking personally, is super grateful to be here and have an opportunity to be in Cape Town, learn the South African culture and also get our hands dirty and help some, a tremendous community.
Okay, my name is Cheyenne and I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
Fantastic. And tell me, what stands out about this experience so far? I know it's early start so far, but what stands out?
I think the thing that stands out most is how much we have in the United States compared to what's here in South Africa. Just how much work they have to do to have everyday necessities that are just handed over to us, really.
Cool. And tell me, why did you decide to participate in this project?
I decided to participate in this project because it was offered through Vivint, and it just seems like a great opportunity to help those around me that don't necessarily have it as easy as I do. I've always wanted to do an experience like this, so very thankful.
Fantastic. What have you learned so far from this project?
I've learned that they have to literally work for everything. Right now we're building, I guess, a garden so they can grow food just to eat on a daily basis to feed their families. And it's a lot of work. I couldn't imagine having to do this all the time, so just very grateful to be here and help them.
Fantastic. And tell me your thoughts on your employer setting up projects like this with Globalware.
I think it's amazing that we can have a chance to go around and help others that may not be as well off as we are, and thankful for Globalware and just the fact that they set it all up and we're able to come here and help.
My name is Kimberly Coleman. I'm the executive director and founder of Globalware. I've been around for about 20 years. We specialize in short-term volunteer vacations where we take usually between 10 and 20 people for a week to go and give back in a community, to stand as equals, working on projects that are important to them, to try and make a difference in those communities.
Cool. And tell us a little bit about this project.
What really separates this project and what makes it different, obviously South Africa is a wonderful, glorious place with lots of different influences. And the fact that there are Dutch and people from Malaysia and the Indian subcontinent and all over the African continent, and then people even from war-torn parts of Africa that have come here. The fact that it's even called the Rainbow Nation, this is something that really makes it different from most of the other locations where we work. They just don't seem to have those kinds of, the diversity of tribes and languages and cultural conditions, the wonderful food, all of it. So it's really an amazing environment to work, but it comes with those special challenges because it means trying to work with people and find solutions when there's lots of different ways of thought. There's even different spiritual practices and languages. So there's that. And obviously, with really the first free election not having been until 1994, there's still a lot that's a legacy from the pre-apartheid era in terms of social and economic differences that still remain to this day. So what we are doing in South Africa, which is what we do anywhere, is we're trying to work with and for people to help address whatever the biggest needs are. And in this case, we're really hoping to help kids in townships that may just not have much in the way of resources. And our volunteers have a different sense for what no resources means. You can fall well below the poverty line in the United States and still have TV, running water, flushing toilets, education where there's 125 people in a classroom instead of 1 in 50. And we do get criticized as an organization for helping people outside of the United States when there are still people in the United States who have needs. But our focus is twofold. So on the one hand, we are trying to help people stand on their own 2 feet, do things that are important to them, but we're also trying to help educate people in terms of cultural awareness to understand the real beauties and real challenges of a culture. And typically, a traditional tourist just doesn't see that. They're coming to consume. They're either going to eating at the restaurants, they're going up on the cable car to Table Mountain, they're going to the wineries, they're getting to see the museums. All that's wonderful, well and good. But in terms of really getting to know people and knowing, hey, if you're South African, what are your challenges? Well, you're not going to usually get that. If you go into the townships and see, for example, where we are in Imizamo Yetu, where there are 60,000 people living in 44 acres with virtually no sewage. 25% of the population has HIV, over 50% of the population is unemployed. I mean, these are the kinds of challenges that are hard to see if you're just coming in briefly and leaving. The kinds of people who care and want to know and volunteer and give back, they tend to be in a position to be more open-minded and have a chance to understand the bigger picture, for good and for bad. What we're hoping that volunteers get out of this is that they're getting a chance to see the real beauties and the real challenges. And that is not necessarily apparent when I'm saying it right there. What I mean is a real beauty that we hope somebody sees coming from someplace like the US or Canada, which is where most of our volunteers come from. We want them to see, for example, in a lot of the cultures where we work, in Peru, for example, a typical Peruvian spends 6 or 7 hours a day with their family and loved ones. If I was going to get a bunch of South Africans, US citizens, and Peruvians and say, what's the most important thing in your life? Almost all of them are going to say, you know, my God, my family, my friends. Like, those are the most important things. How much time are they spending with them? Well, in the US, it's the least of all of them, even though everyone agrees that's the most important. So in a place like Peru, where they have very little infrastructure, but they're spending 6 or 7 hours a day on the thing that we all agree is most important to them, this is actually a real strength and a real beauty that it's easy to overlook if you're just looking at poverty. Obviously, there's plenty of people in extreme poverty in South Africa and with extreme challenges, and then there's people who don't. I think it's great for volunteers to have a chance to get to know both, to really understand a culture, and to hopefully talk to people to understand, hey, do you remember what it was like before apartheid ended? What do you remember from it? What's changed? What hasn't changed? You know, when you go and drive from here to the airport, you see miles of townships. Well, you don't see that in the US. That affects a person, affects society. So we just feel that if you're from the US and you only have 10 days vacation, unlike an Australian or a European where they get 6 weeks, when you see them travel, they're relaxed and they're laid back about it. A US citizen doesn't have that kind of flexibility. In fact, most Americans, they've got no vacation the first year they work, and then hopefully 5 days the second. So when you see volunteers here, they're running. We exist to fill this gap so that volunteers who are wanting to give back are in a structured environment so that they can hurry and feel productive, because that's important to them, to feel like they're giving back, that they're doing something meaningful quick, because they don't have time to just ease into it. So we try and have these really structured programs so that they can make some substantial difference and get to know people. We've been working more and more with corporate groups. I would say over the last 10 years, this has become a big piece of what we do, because a lot of companies have been supporting their employees. They will allow them, for example, to take 5 paid days off, and they won't make them take vacation time for it. Or they will say, hey, you can elect to get $30 a month taken out of your paycheck. We'll match it with foundation funds. At the end of the year, you can go on whatever volunteer program you want. It's great PR for the company. It's obviously great for the volunteer. Usually it gives them a chance to appreciate what they have, experience life in a new adventurous way that they wouldn't if they were traveling on their own. And then obviously it benefits the community. So for us, it's a win-win-win. And the cost to do the program is tax deductible, because we're a 501c3 nonprofit charity and Canadian charity status. So we've seen a lot of companies start to understand and appreciate the benefits that come with supporting their staff to do this kind of travel, to engage in a way that is where people from the US are becoming ambassadors, global citizens. We've been doing a lot over the last few years to harm people in other countries. One of the key things that corporations are really starting to see are the very tangible benefits that they get by offering these kinds of programs to their staff, because it is, you know, it's a team building exercise. The staff member gets to really appreciate and understand what their quality and standard of living is like relative to places that need help. So they come back invigorated, appreciative of their own environment. So they see what a team building experience it is. They get to see how fun it is to give and have this kind of service. And I think a lot of people, until they've done this, don't know what it's like. When we give wheelchairs to a landmine victim, and usually it's children, because they're the ones who pick up the landmines, they look like toys. It's usually not the kids who cry, it's the parents who cry. And if I'm a parent and I'm looking at this parent and they're crying, I mean, it just affects you in a way that you don't see in another way. Well, anyway, so obviously the volunteer benefits in a ton of ways. The company that supports this staff person benefits, because it's great PR for the company, and it makes the volunteer feel more indebted and appreciative of their employer, and obviously the community where we're doing programs benefits. That's the whole reason we do it. So, and there's a financial benefit because the cost to participate, $1,200 a month is, $1,200 a week is tax deductible against your taxes, which nobody ever does it for that, but it's a nice benefit. But anyway, so many more companies are understanding the benefits of this kind of travel, of supporting staff volunteering abroad. And it's really what we hope more people will see, just to inspire them to light that lamp, to get a chance to go out into the world, to be a global citizen, see and feel the joy of helping lift others up, working as equals on these projects in varying communities around the world. And that's what we're about. So join us.
Cool.
We need you.
Your typical volunteer, what could they, who is that, and what can they kind of expect from one of these experiences?
Yes, okay, so our typical volunteer, we are open for all ages. And when I say all ages, there have been people who've brought their newborns, and there have been people who've brought their great-grandpa, right? In fact, we have a lot of multi-generational travel. And one thing that separates this travel from a lot of travel is there are no rules. So for example, if you were to go to Bali or Hawaii and you're married, usually you go with your significant other. This is a kind of travel where somebody might not go with their significant other, or they may just go with friends, or they may go with some coworkers. This is something that separates it from your traditional travel, is that it gets real loose in terms of who we expect is going to travel. We do not require any special skills. No language skills, no sort of carpentry skills, nothing. We teach you, that's what we have our coordinators here for 24/7, is they are teaching the volunteer how they're going to do whatever it is we're doing. So if you're 2 years old, we might have you painting the outside of the bathroom we just built. If you're bigger and stronger and don't mind laying bricks, we put you on that. So we're very flexible about how we put people into projects, but this is a big part of what we do, is we're looking for projects and programs where they don't require specific skills. So we're open to everyone, but our typical volunteer, I would say 60% of them are female. But corporate groups, I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's 50-50 when it's corporate groups. But for individuals who are going, I would say it's about 60% female. And I'm going to say that almost all of them, the people who are choosing to go, are between the ages of 25 and 55. And what I mean by that is it may be a 45-year-old woman signing up, but she's bringing her kids and her parents. But she was the decider, the decision maker, the person registering everybody. So that typically the decision maker tends to be female and tends to be in that age range, but they often bring lots of different people with them. Yeah.
And in terms of the corporate work that you've done with the corporate clients, have you do you notice a difference in the way people work together at the start of a project compared to at the end?
Oh yeah. Well, I tell you, most people are nervous the first day because they don't know what they're going to be doing, and they're worried they're not going to be very skilled, and they're slow and tentative and hesitant. But what happens pretty quickly, usually by day 2 or 3, there's a sort of joy that bubbles up, and what I hear over and over and over again is, I just didn't understand that this was going to happen, that I would be this joyful about it and want to just come right back and do this kind of work. Because it takes a person out of that gray, cubicle, dog-eat-dog competitive environment, right? And we just don't seem to find ourselves in many situations where we're actively out using our bodies, working for good, with other people doing the same thing, and it just does something to you chemically. I don't know how to describe it and explain it, but usually by day 2 or 3, there's this joy. People start dancing, singing, putting their arms around each other. Now I have to say, each corporate project is very different. So sometimes we're able to be very integrated with lots of locals. Other times we're having to build some kind of infrastructure first, and we've got different interactive activities outside of the main work project, which is what we're doing here. So we've got a few football, soccer games we're playing. We've got a braai where we're doing volleyball at the sunset. So we go out of our way to try and create those opportunities and experiences so that there will be the interaction with the community.
My name is Austin Enns. I'm from Vancouver, Canada.
Fantastic. And tell me, what stands out about this experience for you?
So, coming here, I might need a little bit of coffee.
So far, what's happened? What's happened that you've just gone, wow?
So yesterday was our first day going up there, and then literally just walking through and seeing the village of all the kids and the conditions that these kids are living in and playing in. And it's insane that they're in these conditions, but when we play around with them, these kids are so happy and they're just like so easygoing. Just the connection, they're just seeking that connection with you and people around them. And that's been really eye-opening, just seeing how happy they are and the conditions that they're living in. The conditions here are just way harder than, like, these people live in way harder conditions than I could ever really imagine. So it's super eye-opening and humbling to see what they're going through, and feels amazing to get to be involved and help them and be an impact and be something that's gonna impact their lives. So moving forward.
Fantastic. That's a great answer, man. Why did you decide to participate in this?
With
You personally, why did you decide to do this?
I think giving back is the most important thing ever. If you live for yourself, if you don't go out and walk, you don't know poverty if you don't walk in the shoes of poverty, if you don't see it and be with it. I think it's the deeper connection that you have with the rest of the world and with people when people have that hardship, and to have that empathy, that connection with people and with the rest of the world. It adds to your character and builds who you are when you come out and experience and spend time with people that are out here.
Yeah, but I mean, you could have gone on holiday and sipped pina coladas on the beach.
Yeah, that wouldn't added any value to my life though. I find it's doing a lot of these harder, more challenging things, coming out and I find that like being on a beach drinking a pina colada doesn't really make me any better, but I find coming out here and spending time with the kids, like that feeds your soul. So it just kind of, I feel like going home yesterday after the first day, I was like on top of the world because I was just thinking about just how enriching these people are and seeing what they're going through, and just thinking, all of a sudden it gets your mind going about how much more can I do for other people. And
that's great. That's a lovely answer, man. Okay, so what have you learned from this project?
I've learned that there's so many ways you can make an impact, and from before I was thinking that there was only a few different ways, but seeing how we're helping out with the pathways, the school, the women's shelter, it just makes it a lot more apparent how much help is actually needed, and it's really not that hard to give back. It's not that hard to do a little bit, but how crazy impactful that little bit you do will be. As in the bathrooms, we were talking about what one bathroom would do for a huge community. To us it's nothing, but to them it's their world. So
cool.
Yeah.
And then lastly, in terms of your employer and GlobalWare, tell me your thoughts on your employer setting up projects like this with GlobalWare.
I love it. I think it's the best thing ever. It's just creating a connection. I think in any industry, like with our company, it just creates a deeper bond. Simply just right before we started doing this interview, I was sitting and talking to just other people, executives, people who I had never met. And it's a different side of everybody because everyone's just coming from a place of love while they're here. And so there's just so much more deeper connection. And coming out and doing these activities, it makes you see the bigger picture outside of your own world. Because I think if you stay where you're from or do these small little, you mentioned resorts, if you keep within that, you are so blocked off from the rest of the world. And so doing things like this, it adds to the culture of the company, it adds to the relationships and the value to it rises the tide to everybody in the company and culture and quality of relationships.
I'm Colby Ashton from Salt Lake City.
Fantastic. And tell me, what stands out about this experience for you?
This project has been really fun because we've been able to see the kids coming and going from class in between kind of breaks, and it's cool to see them as we work.
Fantastic. Why did you decide to participate in this?
Every charity trip we've done with Vivint and with GlobalWare up to now has been more fun than the incentive trips we do. We don't sit by the beach and drink smoothies, kind of getting dirty and not worrying about what we're eating or where we're sleeping. Ends up being really humbling, and we learn a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. And then thirdly, what have you learned from this project?
Just that it doesn't matter. All the things that we get caught up in our daily lives with money and cars and everything that seems important just isn't.
Fantastic. And then lastly, what are your thoughts on your company and setting up experiences like this with
It's
Global?
one of the best parts of the job. I absolutely love the charity work that we're able to do together. It makes it fun.
Okay, my name's Kaylee Smith. I'm from Gilbert, Arizona, and we're with the Vivint group. Vivint Gives Back. I've lived in Arizona for at least 12 years, so grew up and raised there.
Fantastic. And tell me, what stood out so far about this experience for you?
Honestly, I did not know what I was going to expect coming out here. So what stood out to me the most is just like how, you know, you hear all these scary things and how South Africa is dangerous and all these things, and just how welcoming everyone was and how they were just so willing and wanting us to be there and how much they wanted our help.
Fantastic. And tell me, why did you decide to participate in this?
I decided to participate because I'm always looking for service. Service is what makes me happy. I'm always looking to give, and I love that this big of a charity was going to impact so much in so much of a little time, and so I was really excited to do that.
Fantastic. And sorry, just one second. What have you learned from this project?
So what I've learned the most is just how grateful like I am for, you know, the life that we live, just because, you know, they are just the way that they live, the way that we learned. I've learned so much from just doing like each thing each day, and it's really impacted them, and it's just made such a difference, and it's just definitely helped me understand and be more appreciative of the things we have back at home.
Fantastic. And
Yeah.
your thoughts on your employer setting up projects like this with Global Air?
So I think it's very important and awesome that our employer in our workspace actually provides things for us to do as a charity instead of just telling us to go out and seek it, because then it makes more of a difference if we all get together and we do things as a group. And sometimes, you know, there's other people who have employers who aren't so lucky or fortunate, and so we are very blessed.
So no, I mean, you could have come out to Cape Town and you could have been drinking pina coladas on
Yeah.
the beach, and everyone, when you get back home, is going to say, you know, how was your beach holiday? And you spent it doing all this work. How does that feel?
It feels great. It feels great. Like, today's my birthday. I'm out here doing things that I love to put a smile on those kids' faces, and honestly, that's even better than any kind of beach view. So.
My name is Godwill, from Ghana, just a few countries over, well, a couple countries over, but in West Africa. Yeah, that's where I'm from.
And tell me, what stands out about this experience for you?
I think it was yesterday we went shopping, and we bought like a bunch of stuff for the kids, and right before we checked out, this guy just came up to us, asked what we were doing, and I think he gave us like 20 rand. And that was just really shocking. I think it was Nelson Mandela that said, as we let our light shine, we inspire others to do the same. And so it's just a really incredible experience to see that the little we're doing to help, the locals want to help themselves as well. And sometimes you just need to see that hope, that light, to see that, like, you know, someone is willing to help, and then they follow.
Fantastic, man. Why did you decide to participate in this project?
For me, this is honestly a very sacred experience for me, because I grew up in Ghana under like very, very similar conditions as the places that we've worked. When you grow up going through some of these things, like wanting help and not having that hope, when you finally get the opportunity like I have, like, it's just a natural sense of obligation. There is nothing else to describe it. Like, I have to. For me, it's a must. I have to be here.
Fantastic. And tell me, what have you learned from the projects that you're working on?
The biggest thing I think I've learned out here, for the longest time, I've always felt like I have to like have a lot of money to make an impact. Of course, having a lot of money, you can like help on a bigger scale. But I have come to realize that no matter how little you have, like no matter how little things you do, you can still go a long way to make an impact. So as little as painting what do you call it, a bench for the kids to play at, that goes a long way to impact them. So you don't really have to do a whole lot. It's just starting from where you are and where you stand.
Fantastic. And what are your thoughts on your employer setting up projects like this with Global Way?
I've worked with a few different companies similar to Vivint, and I think it's just incredible, the opportunity here. Not just the opportunity to work, but the opportunity for you to go out and impact lives. I think that's incredible. For me, I think it's amazing because it works alongside my values and the things I want to do in life, and I think it's a place everywhere anyone should work, really.
And your thoughts on Global Way?
So that's, okay, can I, yeah. Okay. So Global Way is that's like what you guys, all is, right? Okay. I believe Global Way is basically, I don't even know how to describe it. Like what you guys are doing is just incredible. Some of these kids, they grew up not knowing like when the next meal is gonna come from, when there's gonna be hope. And to you guys, like to them, you guys are that source of hope. And so it's really like, it makes all the difference. And we are grateful for you guys, and they are as well.
Okay, so my name is Holly Merrow Bench, and I am from Utah.
So tell me, what stands out about this experience?
So for me, what stands out about this experience is just watching our teams connect with kids and individuals in this community. So I think, there's also nothing like seeing the smiles of these kids as you give them the smallest thing, whether it be a drink of water or a little candy bar. Just seeing the gratitude that these kids have for the smallest of things, I think reminds us how much we take for granted.
Why did you participate in this?
So I think one of the main reasons that I love doing what I do is the opportunity to make an impact in such a big way in such a short amount of time for people that need it and can't do something for themselves. So I think having that opportunity, I'm all in for that.
What did you learn from this project? What have you learned?
So I think the thing that has impacted me the most and that really changes my heart is just again seeing the gratitude for the smallest of things, and seeing that our teams are bringing hope to a community, and helping them understand they're not alone in the world. There are people that are excited to help them, excited to be here with them. So,
fantastic. And then lastly, what are your thoughts on your employer setting up projects like this with Global Way?
I'm going to answer that differently since I'm the one that puts them together.
Okay.
So Vivint has had a long relationship with Globalware, and I think for us it's one of the most meaningful things that we do as a company is to come together with Globalware and make such a huge impact in so many communities around the world, like the one that we're working with here in South Africa.
My name is Sadie Bosserman, and I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Fantastic. And tell me, what stands out most about this experience for you?
I think the thing that stands out most is watching the one-on-one connections that you see with our employees and then the people in the community. And then you also get to see the giant impact we have when we come together as a group.
Fantastic. Why did you decide to participate in this?
I decided to participate in this impact trip because I think it's really, really important to show our employees how good it feels to give back and how it changes your heart for the better, to do something for someone who can't necessarily do something for you in return.
Awesome. And what have you learned from this project?
Hold on, I gotta think about this one. Okay. The thing I think that I've learned or I've become more aware of is just how grateful some of these communities are for even the tiniest of things, and how it helps remind us all the things that we should be grateful for or we take for granted on a daily basis.
Awesome. So, in terms of Viven's connection with Globalware, can you just talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Vivid has been working with Globalware for about 8 years now, and I would say that it is our favorite time of year when we get to travel the world and go make these lasting impacts in the communities. Our employees have nothing but nice things to say, and I think when we come together as a group, it not only makes a difference in these communities, but it makes a huge difference for our company and building culture.
Well, you guys could go on a big jolly and sip pina coladas on the beach and do something like that. I mean, if you're going to spend the money, why not, you know, do something like that
Absolutely.
instead?
I think the culture at Vivint is that you can't really get anywhere in life without giving back. You're only as successful as much, you only get as much as you give. And so we have a culture of giving back and making a difference where we can. We're so grateful to work for such a successful company. So we take that in return and we give back to the people that need it.
And the impact on the employees when they sort of get back from a trip like this, is it noticeable?
Oh, absolutely. I think not only does it help like our retention, the guys look forward to this all year long. People who are first year, second year employees will stay with Vivint to go on a trip next year because they love it so much. They go home and they talk about it for months. And they start asking where we're going next year by the time they're even off the plane.
Okay, so my name is Ayla Lloyd, and I'm from Missouri, but I live in Utah.
Right, so could you tell me what stands out most about this experience for you?
I think, just having realized this a few minutes ago, what stands out most is the fact that at least the people that I've met here have been so incredibly positive and supportive and kind in our efforts to help in any way that is needed. Yeah.
Fantastic. And tell me, why did you decide to participate in this?
Just because I thought having had experiences in the U.S. with service projects like this, it's neat, but it's not as impactful as I feel like it could be in other countries that need it most. And so I thought that this would be a fun opportunity.
And how have you found that? Have you found you're making a...
100%, yeah.
Okay, cool. What have you learned from this project?
I'd probably say that what I have learned is that, I don't know, I think I've just learned to love more and realize that serving more is probably one of the most important things we could be doing, so.
Okay, fantastic. And tell me, one last question. What do you think of, just basically your thoughts on your employer being involved with Globalware on projects like this?
I think it's incredibly helpful. It just makes the job a lot easier, a lot more effective, and very enjoyable also. So
you think that the association between Vivint and Globalware should continue?
I think so, yeah, especially on big projects like this.
Yeah, my name's Eric Harris. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Fantastic. And tell me, what stands out about this experience for you so far?
Oh man, it's just seeing this whole country, you know, just coming in, experiencing a new thing, coming in and changing, going into seeing where they live, you know, and that's something you don't get to see, go inside, you know, and being able to touch lives, you know, it's wild. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Fantastic, man. Why did you decide to participate in this project?
Because Me, like, I have never really saw the world. So I was always in America, always in Houston, Florida, you know. I never saw what other people have to go through, right? And coming here, it just makes you realize how blessed and how just gifted we really are, and how in the positions we are, it makes you, I don't know, I get emotional about it because it's just like, it's unreal. It's unreal.
Cool. Sorry. What have you learned from this project?
I've learned a lot of things. I've learned just going through, when we walk through the town, walking through the people, when you see what they have and how they still are happy, you know? They still have a smile on their face, you know? Which is, it's crazy because they have so little, but they make the most of it and still can greet you and hug you, you know? And it makes you want to look at yourself and be a better person, you know?
Fantastic. It's quite humbling, eh?
Yeah, it's so humbling.
And then lastly, what are your thoughts of your employer getting involved with projects like this with Globalware?
Repeat that?
What do you think of your employer doing projects like this with Globalware?
Oh yeah, Globalware has been great this entire time, man. Just the organization and the projects we've been doing. Like, we literally got to go into the woods and cut trees down that were soaking up water, you know, and hurting the environment. We were able to get those down, turn those into something productive, into a bathroom for these people, you know, and build into walls, you know. It's something really special going on here.
Brock Wahlburger from Alberta, Canada.
Tell me, what stands out about this experience for you?
Well, how happy the people are here at at IBIS and at what's the name of the township. So how happy the people are in IBIS and the township. Just that happiness comes from, you know, service and just being happy with what you have, and you know, it's humbling, and it's been all, and then just our guys, the sheer amount of effort from our people. I mean, most of our guys are that came. I have, you know, over 100 guys that donated, you know, sales. So we donated over $100,000. Just my, you know, my smaller group of guys within Vivint, and you know, these guys they all make thousands of dollars. You know, sales guys, and they're super successful. They're young, you know, so for them to go and, you know, donate money, but then it's easy to donate money, but to donate your time and to come spend, you know, a week and to show up on time in the morning. You know, they're out partying, having fun, but they're here, you know, at 7:30, getting on the bus and getting here. For me, that was humbling because this is my 7th charity trip I've been on, so I've worked with a lot of different organizations, and I've worked with lots of my guys, and this trip's been special for me because these guys just put everything into it. We really wrapped our heads around some really big projects, and we moved a massive amount of dirt and a ton of lumber and a ton of structure, and it's been phenomenally humbling. So that's what stands out.
And tell me, what have you learned from this project?
The service is where happiness is. You know, when you give, you know, you lose yourself in service of others, and you kind of find who you are. And it's something that I know, it's a principle I live by, but it's nice to, you know, to go see it and experience it and have it be in your face, you know, so you can come home and just reevaluate, reassess, and just grab that perspective back again, that, you know, that the most important person isn't me. It's, you know, the people I'm surrounded with, and who I, you know, how can I make a difference in others' lives and lift others up through service. And it doesn't have to be big, massive projects like this. I mean, obviously this is a, you know, an incredible undertaking. You're not going to experience this very often in life. You know, it's the little things too. It's the little things that, you know, that I wake up and, you know, help my wife out in the morning, and, you know, middle of the night I get up with the kids. Just any kind of little bit of service you can do on a daily is where you're going to really find, you know, joy in life. And it's not being successful. It's not, I wanted to be a teacher and a coach, and I fell into Vivint, 14 years ago, and I have a net worth of $10 million, and I never wanted to be a millionaire. I never, and I see so many of my guys that chase that dollar and chase, the position, the kind of the fame or the recognition of being, a top guy, top producer, and then having the, making the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, and I see him go waste it, and it's just awesome to bring them here and to try to teach them that, that it's nothing wrong with being a millionaire, but you gotta be able to take your money and put it to work, not spend it frivolously, and really go to work with it, right, and help other people out. That's the power of money and the obligation, really, when you have a lot of money.
But I mean, you could have been on the beach sipping pina coladas and doing something like that rather than giving your time up for this. Why rather do this than, say, take your vacation time and spend it on a tropical island?
Because I want my guys to know where happiness comes from. I want them to know where true joy in life is experienced, and it's doing this kind of stuff. I have my wife and my 4 kids here as well, and I want them to see, that we can, as a family, we can go to Hawaii, we can go to Australia, we can go visit these places, and we can spend lots of money, and we can stay in nice hotels, and we can have a lot of fun, but there's a lot of difference between fun and joy, fun and happiness, and happiness is in this kind of stuff.
How the kids and the wife been finding it?
They love it. Yeah, they love it. They're tired. Yeah, it's been nice. My kids haven't fought because they're tired. I mean, they shoveled manure for 6 hours yesterday, and they came home at 8 o'clock, and they don't want to go out. They just want to. Dad, can we just order some food and go to bed? They want to eat and just crash. So it's been phenomenal to have that experience as a family, and to help them see that there's so much value in hard work and service. I mean, those are the 2 foundational principles behind, raising a good family, and behind being successful, truly successful in life, is service and work ethic.
Fantastic. And tell me, just lastly, your thoughts on Vivint and their, getting involved in projects like this with Globalware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Globalware is a phenomenal facilitator. They facilitate, they create a vehicle, and it's, I'm a religious person. I'm a member of the LDS faith, of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it's very similar. It's, a religion is a vehicle that creates opportunities to serve in your community and to serve a ward family or a congregational family. And so Globalware really creates the vehicle, the structure, to where we can just, hey, we want to go, and here's the money, and then we go on the project. And Globalware is able to facilitate that and create the vehicle, which is necessary. You got to have the skeleton and the bones and the structure, to be able to accomplish something like this. Because it's really, corporately, we need to focus on what drives the corporation, what drives the engine at Vivint, and sales and installs and service and back end, and taking care of our companies so that we can stay profitable as a company, so we have the time and the money and the resources to continue to do this kind of stuff. So we don't have the ability to build out a Globalware internal structure within the company, so it's nice to have a third party like Globalware that creates that skeleton, creates that vehicle to be able to just plug into and go do it. And they do a phenomenal job. It's been great. It's been super organized. Things have been on time, and tools are here, contractors, security, the whole, everything you need, really.